Are you ready for the divine feminine revolution? Let's get vulnerable and go deep.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Divine Feminine Revolution video podcast. I'm here with one of my favorite mentors, Jessica Riverson, the Priestess CEO. Actually, one of my very first sort of big investments, I think you could say, into the coaching world. So glad I did it with you. And then also was during March 2020 was when we
Oh my
finally
gosh.
launched the product, if you can imagine. So on the heels of COVID was my little launch party into the world. And so thank you so much for being a part of that. Jessica, I'm so love everything that you have to say because you're so much into like pleasure, embodiment, helping women make money. And I definitely feel like we need empaths, we need mothers, we need women entrepreneurs, shaping our politics, shaping our culture, having time to spend with our families, having time for our own pleasure. And so I think you're such a great example of that. And you really have had such a great entrepreneur journey, and then have also fused in all the goddessy priestess training that we love. And so super excited to have this conversation with you. And I think for those of you listening, this is going to be one of those moments that just like wakes you up to your potential of one, charging more, but also living more. So I'm going to turn it over to you. You know how we do a little brag intro. So
Okay. Oh gosh.
whatever
Okay.
you want to brag about.
I can brag. Thank you so much. Yes, I forgot that it was in 2020, but that was exactly the time frame. That was a wild times. And I'm so honored to have worked with you. I love my clients, and you definitely are one that I've always remembered, and I know we've kind of stayed in touch here and there, but finally we're like together on the podcast, and so this conversation we've been wanting to have for a while. I guess we all, as women, we have so many amazing stories. And, I always share with my clients, like, choose the story that's relevant to whatever we're talking about today. So I suppose all my stories are relevant to what we're talking about. But I think one thing I could just share in terms of money, embodiment, and pleasure is just like the changes actually since during that time when you and I were working together, 2020. Even though I had been in the coaching industry and had a multiple six-figure coaching business for a long time at that point, 2020 was the year that I became debt-free after carrying debt for 20 years. I do have debt again because I went and bought 2 properties. So that was part of the story. But I mean, at that point, I didn't own those properties. And so I was like literally zero debt. And it was also
good, right? If it's an
what?
investment.
Yeah. There's good. Yes, exactly. There's green debt and there's red debt, right?
Yeah,
so
it's an opposite to the debt free though.
yeah,
Sure.
it's an investment. But so that was the year that there was a lot that happened kind of the year before that year and the year after. Just that whole time frame. Had been a money coach for a long time at that point as well already. But I was still on my own journey, right? Like my money coach teacher back in 2013, so that was a long time ago, she was like, you don't have to be perfect with money. You just have to be on the path. Because every single person that was in that certification that year was like, we were all drawn to it because we wanted to repair our relationships with money. And we started like kind of posting in the group, like, can we do this? Like, we kind of suck with money. Like, this is why we're here. And she was like, if you are on the path of healing your relationship with like value and money and even selling, right? Promoting yourself and bragging, right? Like just owning it. She's like, you just have to be on the path. You don't have to be perfect. So I'd been on that path for a long time. But what was happening when I first broke through, what I think is a big thing to break through, is like earning a lot of money or earning more than you ever have before, or like crossing through income barriers or charging more, right? And when I started my business, I trademarked the phrase permission to charge. And that was actually my first brand. So I'm very passionate about helping women, be able to increase their prices. So that's kind of the first thing, right? As healers and coaches and anyone in the helping profession, is being able to raise your prices. And so I did that after a lot of inner work and a lot of challenge, and then made it my specialty. But then what I found was I wasn't keeping any of the money. So I had, when I think maybe it was before you and I started working together or right around that time, I had like 9 team members, which is great. But I remember just going, I don't have any money to buy a house. I don't have any money to do anything. I mean, not that I didn't have money to do anything, but I was like, what do I have to show for this? And I think it was also around 2020. I bought my first couch at the age of like 40. That wasn't like a hand-me-down couch from somebody else, or I bought it off Craigslist. So even though I was making a lot, I put everything into my business.
Yeah.
And we do that, right? Everything into the kids, everything into family, or everything into our business. And that's it. Look, it's not bad to put it all into your business, but I wasn't able to receive, and I was able to receive, but I wasn't able to retain and hold and expand that wealth. And so I made a lot of changes in that time frame and got really real about my relationship with money, or I guess more real because I'd been working on it, but just kind of took that to the next level. And I ended up changing my whole business model maybe after we worked together a little bit in that time frame, and went down to just 2 team. I think at one point it was just me and my VA and maybe one other person. So down to 2 team members, and I actually grew my business and was spending less on expenses. And so it's being able to, allow yourself to earn a lot of money. That was also when I started bringing on clients at $75,000 per year. And I'd never done that before. And I started charging $50 an hour. So now not all my clients pay that. I have programs that are $222 a month, right? Like my membership. But I changed my whole business model where I ended up having like this range of price points. And also I had a mentor for a couple of years that was around $100K per year. And so I did a lot of things like really looking at it was an energetic thing, right? I broke through the income glass ceiling, started to make way more, but then I still wasn't retaining it. And so when you and I met, that was the time period where like that, it's like it started to shift. And some people would say like, well, you got rid of your team members and then, you did this and you did that. No, but I ended up spending even more with my mentor. But because the work I did with that person was inner work, I started to shift the energetics where I was able to actually hold on to that money. And that's how I was like able to buy, properties over $1 million in 1 year, like boom, 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 and pay off the debt and still have, more money. So yes, women, we've got to be able to understand our value, understand our worth, not our intrinsic value. We want to understand that, but you can't charge on that, right? So we're talking about the value you can deliver in the marketplace, and also just what is required to be the woman that you are, right? So I don't know if that was a brag or just kind of like
a couple $1 million property.
Yeah, okay, that was a brag. Yes,
brag.
But that's just kind of like the time that we met and what was going on then, and so much has changed, but I'm still talking about the same things. I'm still passionate about the same things.
Well, I definitely think it was great to witness. Like, I feel like when I came on, I could see some of the more masculine infrastructure. And I really relate because I'm definitely a divine feminine, but I have a very strong masculine side. And that masculine side, the overachiever in me was like kind of grinding it out. And one of the things that I often talk with my clients about is the whole receiving blocks thing, which you totally named. And it's like, some of the best things in life we receive, like we receive pleasure, we receive money, we receive compliments, we receive support, we receive positive experiences, like who doesn't want that? And you think like, who doesn't want that? But yet we have so many blocks on those things because obviously society does a mindfuck on women to tell us that we should just be taking care of everybody and not taking care of ourselves and, not focusing on ourselves. And so one of the best things we can do is just, like you said, learn to release some of those receiving blocks so that we can like receive that highest timeline. And it's such an expansive period. And so just to, kind of reflect that back to you, it was really helpful for me because I needed some of that corporate infrastructure and marketing because all of that
Yeah,
was so new to me. But like you also did have the Priestess training and the
that's
embodiment and the
right. That all came through.
hypnosis. Like
Yes.
it was there. Like I could kind of see the before and the after. So I just thought that was kind of unique to see. And I feel like that's the transition I was making in my own life, going from kind of a burnout therapist to really wanting to take that wisdom to the world to help many people rather than just the person sitting in front of me. And I really felt this like call to like waking up to my desire to create content, my desire to like be more than a wife and a mom and a therapist and more into like opening up to the world. And so I
And
think
you
the
built a
word
brand, you
receive
built
is
your brand.
such an edge.
What was
Yeah.
that?
Well, receiving is just such an edge. And I think even if you do this embodiment kind of feminine work, like it's still such an edge, because you can always expand in your ability to receive. And like you said, your ability to hold. And that's one thing that kept me in the grind was like I was making, 6 figures, good money, but like I was spending it, and so there wasn't that like security there. And so learning to like not only receive it, to deserve it, to like call it in, but then like to be able to like hold it and then like reinvest it out into the world, into your properties, into like your family. It's just so huge. So I think it's cool just to see like your evolution as well.
Well, thank you. And I think it's just like, I was a single teen mom. I was a college dropout.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to share. Like, I thought my relationship with money would be a challenge forever and ever. And I'm still not perfect with money. I'm not aiming for perfection, but I know there's people that are like, they're just wired that way. And they're just, but, there's different money types that I talk about in some of my money courses. And like someone who is a secure money type or the security type, I'm not talking about attachments because I know, but we do talk about that too. But in this case, the secure money type, they tend to, know every penny and where it's spent. But when it comes to investing really big and taking risks, it's a little bit more like, no. And that actually limits their ability to expand their wealth, right? On the flip side, my money type is the surprise, the value type. And so it's all about recognizing your value. And sometimes, there's pros and cons to every money type, but in the value money type, there's a little bit more of like the entrepreneurial risk taking and things like that. But I just think like it's so important for women to see like it can change, right? Like you can shift your identity around money. And it's money is a mirror, and it's mirroring back to us where we're lying to ourselves, where we're not being honest, where we're like negotiating our own value with ourselves, we're accepting less. Or sometimes I talk about like the prostitute archetype where it's like we're trading one value for another value, but it's more on the shadow side where it's like, okay, I'm accepting less than I deserve, but I'm getting something else out of it. Like maybe that makes me feel safer, or maybe I don't have to be the squeaky wheel. I can just kind of like accept what I'm being paid and not make a fuss about it, not ask for more, because then, what does that say about me? Oh, I'm too much. And who does she think she is? And so we have all this programming going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the best things you did right away was to tell me to like double my prices. And so that I think definitely if you're a woman out there listening who wants to make more money and you already have a business, like, obviously you have to like, vibe with
You have to
that.
like or be aligned with it. Yeah, you've got to have the alignment. Yeah. But yes, most women entrepreneurs, and I'll throw myself in there too, because I do feel that we always need to reevaluate our pricing. That's what every business does every year. So for the most part, most businesses will have price increases on a regular basis.
Yeah. And I think money's so subjective. So someone might say like, oh, that's super expensive. And someone would be like, oh, you're undercharging. And so I think it's just kind of like not so much other focus, but like kind of what feels good to you.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a great first step. And like that really, in my case, like freed up time. It allowed me to become a content creator. It allowed me to get my programs together, doing what I was already doing, just charging more. And it always felt like when I would have to tell people about the price increase, it feels like they're going to break up with you or something. Like, I'd be like, oh God, just like have so much nerves and like, okay. But it's sort of like whenever you have to deliver news, you know, the more chill you are saying it, like the easier it goes down kind of thing. And so that was just such an edge to start off, but like it really set me up for the right place. And so I think that that's so huge. And I know for me, like I kind of grew up in a middle class background. So my dad was a lawyer, my mom was a nurse. And so I sort of had that like 100K, like that's just kind of like, oh, like if you're middle class, you make 100K or whatever. So then I had a very like tight 100K ceiling. And it took me so long to figure out, like my husband and I had kind of had a race to like who's gonna make more this year. And we've kind of always been neck and neck. To be fair, I work part-time and he works full-time, but not a number. It's, he's made more, less educated, so like the glass ceiling and, all the systemic stuff, like it's so real. And so it can be a lot to overcome. And so like, I feel like I've always been into mindset and affirmations and manifesting, and that's been such a guiding light for me. And so I think with money, it can be so hard because I think you can be good at all those things, but I think money is such a thing. It hits some like scarcity stuff. It's so primal. It's obviously an energetic thing. It gets so tied up with our worth that it's just one of those things that it can be so loaded. And so to really get your money stuff right, what do you think was the biggest breakthrough with that?
Everything you're saying, totally resonating with. So, it's like when you sit down to do your taxes or you sit down to tell someone your prices, any situation that creates like a contraction in your body around money, that's your nervous system responding probably to something in the past, right? So your past programming around money, even trauma, because I've done money coaching for so long, like over a decade, I've had the honor and privilege to hear a lot of stories that were extremely painful related to money, not only in this lifetime, but I do past life regression as a hypnotherapist. So I've gone into a lot of my clients' past lives too, and uncovered things that happened in their past life, or even like just in their grandparents' life or something like that, right? And it's affecting them today. Like it's in their DNA. Like it's a pattern that's, still lives. And so that was kind of my epiphany, right? Because I've had many money courses that I've taught, and the one that I taught over and over was what I learned from my teacher. And it's awesome. It's amazing. The one I originally got certified in, and we were certified in being able to teach her content. But now I've created my own content after taking, I know you're a trauma therapist, so after taking a couple different trauma certifications and somatic certification, I became I knew of trauma, but I wasn't trauma informed until I, took those trainings and certifications. And then I decided to study it even more. And that's when I realized, okay, all the money mindset courses out there that I've taught or taken, they're great, but they're leaving out this one really critical piece, which is the body. And I love that book, The Body Keeps the Score. So the body is keeping the score. And so like when you're telling your prices and it's like a little bit uncomfortable, that's what I do in my programs now with people, is we're starting to like process that stuck emotion so that they can let it go and come into truth around whatever that thing is. So for example, I used to completely sweat my prices. Like I couldn't even get it out of my throat, or I would say it and then I would throw in a bunch of free stuff on top of it that I was going to do for that client, essentially making it so I made the same amount, right? Yeah. Because now I'm doing more work. We've all like done it at least one time. I mean, I did it a bunch of times, right? Until I learned my lesson. When we're really, really, really ready, we can charge appropriately and not over deliver, like charge and deliver, but not have to like overcompensate, which I know leads to burnout and like complete dysregulation when you are trying to prove yourself. You prove that you're worthy of that price by doing more. And I always go above and beyond. So that's just like in my nature. So that was something that I, I still love to go the extra mile for my clients, but you can feel internally if you're doing something from approving, or it's just like I'm really after results all the time. So that's what a lot of times drives me to like, okay, I'm going to go the extra mile because I'm in it with this client, which feels different than what if it's not enough? She doesn't like me, or I'm not good enough. Yeah, it's a different energy. And so when we work with the body and start unhooking those patterns, now, like when I talk to someone about my prices, it doesn't matter if I'm talking about 75K for the year. I don't feel anything. I don't feel weird about it. Or, I mean, I did before, as I kind of moved up onto different price points. It feels the same as saying, my membership is $222 a month. It feels the same thing.
That's what it is.
And right. And then not to say I have no issues with money or no triggers, because I do. I'm human, and it's going to take me probably a while to uncover all of them. But there's certain things that I've done a lot of work around. And so you literally, like that button that gets pushed, you can remove the button, and then you don't respond that way anymore. And so then you can just lean back and talk about your prices very calm. You don't have to try to be calm. You just are. Or you can sit down to do, I would say that I have more work to do around things like spending plans. Like I'm always working on that. Those are some of the areas where I can tell I have a little bit more triggers around the scarcity, or no, not scarcity, but around my freedom, right? Like, well, I want to be able to do whatever I want with my money, right?
Your values, right?
Yeah, that's kind of my entrepreneurial, like, well, we'll just make more money.
Yeah.
We don't have enough to do XYZ. Well, we'll just make more.
So empowering, that you can just send out.
As long as you go make more and stick on your budget, then you're good.
So much of what you said, I'm totally resonating with. And it kind of reminds me of how my Reiki mentor, Sarah, used to talk about, like, we'd have like PTSD of the soul, and so like that witch wound, if you had that kind of like past life experience of being silenced or like sort of killed for your gifts.
Most of them were being silenced, mostly being killed, but exactly.
Yeah. And so obviously that like translates if that's been a past life experience that people have had. And I do find that it seems like tell me if you think this is true, but I do feel like a lot of healers end up undercharging. And my sort of take on that's
my whole business. Permission to charge was helping healers and coaches who are undercharging. Like it's a epidemic.
I think we're so like other focused. And I mean, I think it even goes back to like, in past lives we were, taken care of by the community and like bartered and that kind of thing. And so I think it makes sense. But, what I find too is a lot of healers like don't do good self-care. They don't invest in themselves. They don't necessarily do, not that they don't do the inner work, but sometimes they don't have like people holding them as they're doing the work, And so I think
it's important. That's why I've spent so much on mentorship. And there's this kind of cliche in the coaching industry, like, oh, if you want to be this high ticket coach, you got to invest in one. And it's like, I get why people say like that's not necessarily true. However, if you've never had the experience of that kind of up level investing in yourself, you just may not be able to embody what that is. Because if you value yourself that much and your gifts, then you're going to be able to help someone else value, like you're going to be able to be a stand for them, and you're going to attract people that invest in themselves to that level as well.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And, I think it's like, we'll invest in like, our kids' education or like a nice home or, a continuing education thing. But I think, to invest in like the spiritual work and the like deconditioning and like kind of defragging all these, past experiences or beliefs or whatever, it's just, pays back like an exponential, infinite possibilities, right? So,
well, and I even was like, I love like, nice shoes and nice purses. And I think like when I felt that I could have more financial freedom, it's like I buy the Louis Vuitton bag and the fancy shoes and it's like, and I still do stuff like that, but just, it's not like now
Very
I'm
Leo
like,
of you, right?
yeah, I mean, all I care about right now is passive income. So I'm just like, where else can I invest? Right? Like if I get some money or a windfall or I make like extra sales or just anything that's like more than what I was anticipating, because I already kind of plan for what I'm anticipating and where that's going to go. But anything that's like above and beyond what I've been expecting or planning, then I'm like, okay, what's the ROI I can get on that? Where can I put that?
And I'm so glad you mentioned like investing, because that's something that I've been like newly playing with, and you kind of hit it at the front of the episode, and I meant to comment on it, but it was just I have my daughter's friends, like her little bestie, their parents are like day traders, and so they stay at home with their kids. They used to flip houses, but like not such a great time to flip houses these days, and so now they're just day traders. And so I was talking to him and I was like, okay, so I've been like a little intimidated. I want to get started. Like, what should I do? And he was like, so the best time to invest is now. Like, it's always now.
Yeah, always now.
So if you're out there listening, I was really intimidated just to like link my bank account and like what app do I use? And like, is this, just like stupid logistical things, not stupid, but
no, not stupid at all. Yeah, it's just like, it's intimidating sometimes.
Yeah, but wow, like I'm like, oh my gosh. So instead of like going to Target and doing a little retail therapy, it's like, why not buy like a Target stock, or like it doesn't have to be
exactly. Oh, I like that.
There.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that literally. Like next time I'm like walking into some store, like let me go buy their stock and
yeah. And I don't know if this is the same for you, but I feel like I have definitely been like a retail therapy person. Like I definitely would spend it as fast as I could get it. Love shopping, all the things. A little bit of a bargain hunter, but I found in midlife, I don't know if it's just like I don't want to work as much or like security or whatever, but I am finding a shift to just like I don't want stuff anymore. I want space, and it's like I don't want to be able to buy things as much. I'm gonna do, but not as much. I want like
quality versus quantity.
Support me rather than me supporting the habit.
It's like what I didn't tell you this, but I'm actually getting certified in Feng Shui. So that'll just be an add-on to all the different things that I can bring to the table. I love this business because as I evolve, I've created, I think, like 50 digital courses at this point. They're not on my website, but just over the years, the ones that I've sold and things like that. We'll get some of them on the new website because they're not there yet. But I get to just bring different aspects of myself to the courses. But yeah, like your environment and what you have around you affects you so much. And so you want to invest in like quality versus quantity.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, your money should always be making money for you. I didn't necessarily grow up this way, more so middle class. But I mean, my mom was 17 when she had me. So there was once, she married my stepdad, then I would say we were middle class after that. But so I had a little taste of how hard, life can be when your mom is 17. But, being able to make sure that your money is already making an ROI, because like people that are wealthy or born into a wealthy family, they're learning that their money is supposed to be making, like they're not working for money. Right. They don't work for money. Right? Like, I mean, they can generate money through their businesses and things like that, but they already from day zero, have money working on their behalf.
I know, and I think we get sort of sold like with like cribs. I'm dating myself here, but like like sort of this big celebrity culture thing. It seems like they're spending all their money on like cars and mansions and things like that. But like the rich people I know actually are like very cheap and like often don't spend a lot of money. Obviously, in the coaching industry, that can be a little different. But I am actually super obsessed with Feng Shui. I have been using it for like decades to manifest things. And so like when I was trying to get pregnant, I was like working on my like child and family, put a bunch of games, like we did like a little ritual to like have our daughter and stuff, and put like
okay, well we're gonna talk offline more about like I'm gonna send you some things. That's awesome.
Okay, cool. And like in my current house, my like wealth and my wealth corner is in the kitchen, which the kitchen is my problem area just because it just gets messy quite a lot. And so I've been really trying to have a clean kitchen, call in the money. And then I have another
Yes.
spot where my upstairs bathroom is in my fame and reputation center, which is not ideal for the bathroom. So my bathroom is super over the top, kind of like boho spiritual vibes, because that's what I'm trying to attract
Like,
in.
this is where the fame and wealth happen.
And it's supposed to be fire, so I got like red candles in there. If you just walked in, oh, this is her bathroom. It's like a little bit intense, but since it's my fame and reputation center, I have to like deck it out, you know, and kind of compensate for it being in the toilet.
Oh my God. Yeah, you don't want your reputation in the toilet.
I know. So I'm like, toilet seat down, you know, because
Yes.
like that's where the money drains. So I definitely live by that. And I just find like, even as a therapist, we all overspend. We all have too much stuff. I have so many therapy sessions where people are just like, I want to clean out my stuff, but like I have a hard time letting go. And this did not come naturally to me as someone who's like ADHD and just like a creative and loves tarot cards and books and crystals and like all the accoutrement of the healers. I definitely have a metaphysical shop in my home.
Yes.
So it did not come naturally, but like now I'm really just like craving the space. Like I'm craving the flow. I've been like obsessed with, I'm here on the porch because it's a beautiful day. I've been like redoing the porch. We're putting like fairy lights, like solar fairy lights all over our yard and stuff. So it just like comes alive at night. Whenever I feng shui something, the money comes in. And that's like such a good incentive to feng shui things. And even I have a physical office at work and I'm constantly like moving the furniture around. My clients will come in and they're like, oh, you moved it again. And I'm like, yeah, it's getting stagnant. I had to like switch everything around.
Oh, I love that.
Feng Shui is super powerful. For so those of you listening, if you don't know what we're talking about, definitely Google it. It's worth kind of like mapping out your house or your room or your office. And I
would say go to, I don't know if you met Daniela, but Daniela's been a client of mine from Germany for like 8 years. And so I'm taking her certification and it's unfoldingspace.com. And I have recently helped her launch an English version, which is on an amazing price point because I want to say the one in Germany is probably 6,000 euros to get certified by her. But her English version, which is like kind of founder's rate, it's like not even close to that at all. So it's an incredible price point for being able to get certified by a world-renowned feng shui expert and then actually attract clients because she teaches her clients how to, get clients while they're in the program. And yeah, I have a lot of friends that are just like waiting for me to be done. They're like, okay, come do my house. I'm like, okay, I've got a roster of clients already.
I know, and I think you like need that moral support from someone to like kind of like a coach to check you and be like, you don't need that.
Oh yeah, people are really interested in feng shui, like super. Yeah. And she has done like hotels and castles and big parcels of land, and people invest tens of thousands of dollars into their feng shui consultations, depending on how the size of the area, right? So it's amazing.
That's the aesthetics of luxury. If you go into a really beautiful hotel or a Louis Vuitton store, you feel the space, you feel the luxury, you feel the intentionality of the placement and kind of the flow. I think that totally fits in with what we were talking about with embodied money.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think your environment is such a it's kind of like your bubble. It's like your extension of you. So if your environment's cluttered, you're going to feel cluttered. If it's expansive and beautiful and rich and luxurious, you're going to feel,
It's so true.
Luxurious vibes.
It's an easy way to shift your own energy, right? Like by tapping into like the chi and being in that flow.
Absolutely. And I really liked what you said earlier about just like there's the belief system mindset piece. Oops. Sorry, my cat's trying to get on screen here. There's like the belief system, but then I think when people, and I've been here, like where you're doing mindset all day long and you're like, where are my results? But it's like, you really do have to bring it into the body and maybe the energetics first and then the body, but like that holistic sort of framework of it. I literally had a client today was like, oh yeah, I tried to do that affirmation, but it made me feel like a lie. It felt like such a lie. And I'm like,
well, until you unhook from the actual pattern that's literally in your body, you're always going to react to that stimuli in the same way, right? And so
Yeah.
like trauma, your body thinks that you're still in that situation.
Yeah.
I had
Absolutely.
something happen the other day that reminded me of something that had happened a long time ago. And I was like, it really surprised me how upset that I got about something very benign.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked real crazy. But I remembered that situation and how it upset me and bothered me and how I felt in that moment. And it was like similar enough where it brought up the whole thing and it made me cry. This is a very perfect example of trauma. I mean, I've thought about it, but it's not even like the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life by far.
Yeah.
But the way I
Parallel.
felt was just very poignant for me. And so feeling that again, or something that brought that up, it's like, oh, now I know that still lives inside of me. And I realize, oh, I didn't process and digest that. One of the things I do with the money work is embodied processing, which is a certification actually. And so being able to process your emotions around money, all the programming that we received. For example, some of my clients, they'll say, well, my mom was a hoarder. So I learned I would spend everything and buy everything that I wanted, or, because I learned that. Or they would be like, I never buy anything.
Right.
I don't
One or
even
the
let
other.
myself have
Extreme.
things. Right. So, or there was a lot of shame around money. I was told that it was bad to have a lot of money. Those are bad people.
Oh, yeah.
When you hit a certain income level, you've got all these defense mechanisms that are in your subconscious mind that are going to stop you. Like, let's say 100K is someone's income glass ceiling. They're going to keep getting close to it, maybe go a little over, a little under. They're going to be close, 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 close. But maybe their goal is to double that. And it's not going to happen until those things get unhooked. Otherwise, you have too many subconscious mechanisms that are going to come up, and they'll always, this is a funny thing, they'll always be like kind of sneaky. It's like, well, oh, that year I almost did this much, like reached the goal, but then, someone in your family passed away and that took all of your attention, or you got sick or something. And it's like, it's almost like on some level, like we're drawing in the circumstances or using those circumstances as the reason why we didn't break through. And it's really not our fault. I mean, it's just the programming we received, and we just haven't known how to go in and start releasing that. Mm-hmm. And then once you do, it changes your ability, like how much you can earn, how much you can save. Like when I bought this house and the other one, I cannot tell you how, like, I didn't even know how to describe it. I had such a block. Mm-hmm. When I found out that I was even able to buy not one, but two houses, I didn't even know that that's what I always tell my friends or anyone that comes, that maybe doesn't own a home right now, but wants to. I'm like, go and speak to a mortgage broker. Yeah. Go figure out your credit score. Get your numbers, because I knew some of my numbers, but I hadn't talked to a mortgage. I knew my credit score and stuff, but I just didn't know what the bank was willing to loan me. I didn't know that I had a pretty good, I mean, you would think that knowing I had a good credit score and a good income and this and that, but I had never been in that situation before. Yeah. I remember trying to get a loan a long time before that, and I was so far from what I needed to be making to get a loan at that time that I developed this kind of a negative thought about myself. Oh, I can't. And I remember things that were said to me, not about me, but about the area that I live in. It's unaffordable to live here anymore, which is true for a lot of people, most people where I live, but most people in the world, right? It's very expensive to live in Seattle or suburb of Seattle, but my belief system was so bad that I didn't even know that I was capable, right? And so like even trying to get this house, it was just like, it was such a mental block. And that was like kind of around the time when I started bringing in the embodied money or the somatic work into the money work. And it's like, okay, money mindset is good, but we have to,
you gotta feel safe.
We have to feel safe. And if your nervous system doesn't feel safe with money, you're not going to either earn the amount you want or be able to save the amount or be able, I couldn't save for a long time, many years. I tried and failed at saving, like more than a decade. So, it all can change. And I'm so glad that there's so much more of the work like what you do that's coming out into the world and the mainstream, so that we can, especially for women, if we as women can handle our stuff with money. And I'm, again, saying that to myself too, because as much as I've worked on my relationship with money, I still have lots of opportunity to grow. And I just go, let's get it together even more, right? Because we can buy land. I've got a client that has got 63 acres of sanctuary land. I have another client just got a retreat house, because when they're generating more money, they're buying buildings, land, retreat centers. They're creating cosmetic companies that are not toxic.
Yes,
right?
please.
They're buying solar panels for their house, or all the things that could be really good things that could make the world healthier or cleaner or safer. They're investing in teaching. I know a woman that teaches financial literacy in schools, which is great. And so when women have their relationship with money in health, right, being healthy, aligned, being in right relationship with money, like the intimacy with money is intimacy with yourself, right? So it's just a mirror of how honest we are. And also, when I'm saying honest, I'm meaning like there's the truth, the highest truth, and then there's shadows, untruths, right? And so that audio that I had that was like, you can't do it, it's too much money, like that wasn't even mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
and after, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I know we have to wrap up too, so
well, one thing I was going to say is just an affirmation that's been serving me really well is that I care more about my frequency than facts. And I think some of us that it's a little edgy there. I think a lot of times we're programmed, and obviously if you're more like an intellectual, like I would always tell people, like, would you rather be right or happy? Like hopefully those two things go together, but sometimes it's like a one or the other. And I think sometimes with our blocks we can get so invested in like, I'm right, I believe in this fact, but it's like, no, we want to like focus on our frequency. And for me, that's what pleasure psychology has been about, is just like, can I care the most about my frequency? Can I care the most what I think about myself, and really like turn inwards, not in a narcissistic way, but just in a self-prioritization, and sort of like, instead of caring so much about what other things or externals, like how can I pull my power back in and just like really get right in here. And so the frequency thing has really helped me. And it just makes me think of my dear friend who was going through a divorce, and we were literally like at the beach at her divorce party. She had manifested this like great little cottage that she was living in. She literally got the call that they were selling the house, and we were like, oh my God, let's manifest it. Like literally we're at the beach. We've got all these like witchy women around. Like, let's make this happen for you. And she's like, oh, like I'm self-employed. Like, and so I'm probably not gonna, I got my friend, my other mom friend who was like a mortgage originator. My friend's already a great manifester. We took all of the like divorce party vibes and literally manifested this house for her. And it was like such a great little place for her and her son to land. They've been able to like really work it out amongst their family as far as like being able to make it work. And so I think, just to our original point with, we need more money in the hands of women, it's like so that we can buy houses if we need to get divorced, or so that we can like invest in all those beautiful ways that you were just saying. And so I think a lot of times what's holding people back is facts, and like there are always, harsh realities and like facts that we have to overcome. But I think when you really focus on like, your own destiny and your own pleasure, and like really kind of believing it, even if it seems impossible, I do find a way that the universe delivers. So anyway, so lovely catching up with you. I just wanted to give that a little case in point, because that was just such a magical moment.
Yes, I love that story.
And just like, gosh, I've had that with being self-employed. Sometimes that really is a ding if you're trying to get like a big loan or something like that.
Absolutely.
So it's so great to have liquid cash. It's so great to have investments. It's so great to like.
It felt so good to just hear like, oh, you can buy well over $1 million in property. And I was like, okay, right? Like, it's just, it's like when you've worked so long and hard, and
Yeah,
like
I have.
and finally like realize something. And then also just know that like I love giving my clients shortcuts. Like just because something took me so long, it
Yeah.
takes my clients like so much faster because I, it took the long route, and I learned like how to get to the root cause of some of these things. And I think that's failure is so valuable. It's why I know so much, and it's why I can help so much.
Great reframe. For
I mean,
sure.
what I called failure was I really believe in failing forward.
It was
And
so
so
good.
I've always been failing forward and making mistakes along the way, and having setbacks and then learning. And that just makes me a great coach. That's what I
I
tell
know.
myself. Like
It's so
now I can help even more people because I understand the whole like gamut of the problem.
Yeah, one thing that's really served me is that saying, like, it's not rejection, it's protection. And so even when it's like a
Ooh,
failure, it's always a redirect in some kind of way. So I'm like, okay,
yes.
sometimes it takes us a while to figure out, like, okay, I guess they want me to go in this direction, but
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
absolutely.
You're so inspiring. Thank you so much for like sharing your story about like coming up a single mom young, and then like just, I think sometimes, when you hear like, oh, I just bought $1 million property, it can feel kind of like, oh, well, I'll never get there. But I think I want to encourage everybody listening to like, you can get there. It is possible. You just really have to like the mindset, the energetics, the body, really like your whole body, like your whole self has to kind of really get on board with it to really manifest it and align with it. And so I think you're such a beautiful living example of that. And
Thank
so
you.
thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Now,
Yes, thank you for having
tell
me.
us, you've got Embodied Money coming up. So tell us all about
Yes.
that and where to find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I would love to. So you can go to embodiedmoney.com, and that is my 7-week experience right now. So the investment is $12.97, but you can enroll for $197. So it is the perfect time to dive into that. And it's different than any other money course. I really feel like it's an initiation. So and that's what I was going to tell you is Dr. Megan Monday is the one who said to me one day, your programs will initiate you. Like you said that to me. I wrote it down, and I've said it to so many clients, and I just want, I always give you credit. I'm like, Megan
Well,
Monday said this to me.
I probably did not originate that one. So I think I maybe heard
Well,
that from like, I can't even remember at this point. Maybe Julia, maybe somebody else. But we'll
hey,
take.
I learned it from you. So I learned from my clients, my friends. Like I learn from everybody every
Boy,
day.
that's
So
so freaking true,
I
though.
just
From
remember
all
that
your
you said
stuff.
that, and I always like, she said that to me, and it stuck. It's like something I would say, right? And like I'm so in alignment with it. So yeah, I feel like this program, this is my 3rd annual year, and it's really cool because people do it every year. And so we have people on their 3rd year, and it's kind of like an annual money detox, but also an upgrade, because there's no drive-through enlightenment. And I think that's why people take it every year. Because like, okay, we're going to like do some deeper work on releasing some of these. I think of them as like patterns that are hooked in. We're going to start to unhook some of these patterns, and we're doing the somatic practices and the embodiment practices to release, so that like maybe you want to raise your prices and you're going to focus on that during this 7 weeks. Or maybe you feel like you're charging well, but it's like you're not investing or saving, or maybe you feel like you're out of control with your spending, whatever it may be. And we're going to go and do past life regression. We're going to do the embodiment work, like I said, somatic work, and start releasing things. And then we also have training on
You're a great
spending
mix of
plans
both.
and sinking
Yeah.
funds and investing, and very practical action steps. We start with the 9 money clutter clearing steps. Like you said earlier, you and I are very similar. It's like we have this masculine side and feminine that's both very strong. And so like I love a good spreadsheet, but I'm also like, but I listen to
I
my
don't like it
intuition.
that much, but yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's like a lot of people work with me because they're like, you do the spiritual part, but you're also like going to help me with my copywriting and my messaging. And so as a business coach, I'm like kind of bringing, and I think that's what a priestess does, right? She brings the spiritual world into the material. And so that's why I
Yeah.
call myself like a business priestess, is like you're bringing it all together. So even in this embodied money experience, you're going to spend 7 weeks getting your body to feel safe with money, right? And so by the end of it, you're going to have that completely different like identity with money, one that's more in alignment with the truth, like the spiritual truth of who we are, which is we're so abundant.
Yes.
And we have access to all of the abundance in the world. And when you're living in that truth, it's like you can feel grounded in your body to know what you're ready to charge and what feels really good and what feels really solid. And then when you receive that money, you know, it doesn't feel like it's slipping through your fingers and like, where did it go? And so it's different than affirmations, which I think affirmations are very valuable and very important, but it's just like, it's a piece of an equation. And so I feel like this is the other piece of the equation that's been missing. Right now, the price is going to double, or I like to call it an investment because it's definitely an investment. It's going to double on March 31st. So I don't know when this will air, but if someone reaches out to me because they heard it and they say, Megan, Monday, I heard it, then I can probably honor the 197, but you're going to have to mention Megan. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's embodiedmoney.com. And there's one more thing. Oh, I know. I read, you're going to like this. The American Psychological Association, I just read this yesterday, said that what was it? You are 76% more likely to reach any goal that you're trying to reach if you track your progress. So in this program, I love a good tracking sheet.
Oh, like the lead contact sheet.
Oh, yeah, okay, you remember. It's like, track your sales. Track how many new leads you have. Track your spending. And I'm not going to make people in the course track every single thing, but just even getting started with, you know, tracking certain things. So there's a very practical side to the program. I mean, a lot of what we're doing is embodiment and movement, and there's like tears and crying, you know, but there's but it's like the good tears. It's like the tears of release where you're like, oh, I've let go of this weight, you know, but then there's that very practical side. And so, yeah, that's something that I thought, now that is fascinating, because during 2020, when I made what seemed like this quantum leap, I was like, how do I have $100,000 in my bank account? Like, like, whoa, you know, like never did that before. Because I couldn't accumulate it before. I could make it, but I could not accumulate it. And so it was because I was tracking.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe you're like changing my mind on tracking. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just, I think you think you know, but until you really see it like in black and white, it's one of those things. But
I tracked my net worth for 5 years. Every single month it was negative.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, I've been tracking. I've been an on and off, again, I'll say that just because I'm not like perfect with it. Yeah. But for a long time, I've been doing money tracking. Since I took that course in 2013 and got certified. Now, have I fallen off the wagon and got back on? Yes. But when I made that leap, that is one of the biggest things I was doing. And the thing is, how can you embody when you got to be present, right? And you're not in reality of the present financial situation.
Otherwise we're in denial, right? So
so when you track, it brings up a lot of shit, like a lot.
Oh, I bet.
I know you know.
I'll call myself out a little bit, because I remember as we're talking about the lead sheet, I was like, but I don't have any leads. And like now thinking about that, like 5 years later, it's sort of like, oh my God, like how far I've come, and like, you know, like the world is your lead.
Well, do you remember what I said? You remember what I said? When you...
Not exactly, but you were probably like, you already have a bunch of people in your sphere, like go talk to them.
Well, I would definitely say that, but the tracking piece of it, whether it's money or tracking leads or sales, what I would say to someone is say, like if you said, well, I'm not tracking my sales every week because I haven't been having sales, then I would say, if you want to have sales every single week, you need to be tracking. So if a week goes by and you don't have any sales, you have to write 0. And when you write 0, what does that do? That makes you go, okay, well, what could I do today? What kind of content could I create today? What email could I create today? So that reminds me, when inside the program, there's a bonus program that's totally free, and it's called Sell Daily. And it's all about making daily sales in your business. And I walk through the things I do every pretty much freaking day of my life to make sure that because at this very moment in time, I'm running Facebook ads. But prior to that, in the last 4 years, 5 years, I have not really run any paid advertising. I mean, very, 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 very little. And I mean, nothing to note. So I do everything organic, right? And so that does require me, if you're not doing paid advertising and you're relying on organic, it requires you to create content. I mean, it's a daily activities that you got to do. So I put that into the program too, because all my clients are entrepreneurs, to say like, look, it's not just you're feeling safe about money, you're not feeling safe about selling either. Sales feels really icky. And so it all ties together. So anyway, that's my spiel about the program. But if anyone just feels called to do it, I would just do it, because someone told me today, thank you for making it affordable. And I'm like, I'm so glad that she said that, because I'm like, yeah, that is exactly, I mean, there's not a lot of 7-week courses out there that are this high level that are going to be $197, where it's like a live course. But I just want everyone to change their relationship with money. Like all the women, we're going to just upgrade.
I mean, I think that's how we get to world peace. So that totally makes sense. And just for all of y'all considering buying, like, I definitely felt like I got the most out of my like monetary investment, because there was just so much like learning and contact and resources and so many things. And I can't say that about every coach that I worked with.
And you were in a program that I believe was $7,000 for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
This is a 7-week program that's $197. So it's not the same. It's not the same program. Yeah. I mean, obviously we delivered a whole lot more in that program, and it was different, and it was like a lot of one-on-one touch, but just to put the perspective.
Because you give them the experience, you know, and I think that that's such a gift to give them the knowledge, because knowledge is power, but then also to give them like the transformation. And I think like people tend to do one or the other well, but not necessarily both. And so I think that's really such a huge strength. And then let's face it, like you and I both have daughters about the same age. Like, we want them to, you know, not have to neglect their families because they have to work or worry about money or not be able to buy a house.
I couldn't even take I never took a maternity leave. Like,
I had 3
days later, I was sitting on one of those donut things, and I was on a call. I mean,
I agreed. I was like about 3
I don't want that for her. And I was always the breadwinner in my marriage when I was, you know, married. So I had 2 businesses. So I was back at my desk, you know, and
you even
I don't know what it would be like to have a maternity leave. I have no idea what that's like.
The world. You were like doing, like you were on the go pregnant the second time, right?
You're right. Yeah. I was, after I had my daughter, I was traveling every quarter to different countries for my coaching business like that. When I was pregnant and when she was born is actually when so, but you know,
I help with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like we'll do another podcast on that, but I agree with you. We want women to, whether you have a partner and you're provided for in that way, or you share finances with your partner or not, it's freedom, it's options. Money gives us options, and money gives us, it's not, maybe, you know, there's different types of power, but in this world, money gives you the power to do a lot. And so I think, if we can have more women that are this and want to make things better, that have access to money and knowledge around how to create value in money, maybe we can shift things as to what the world's priorities.
And it needs a shift for sure. Well, obviously we could talk about this for hours. I love spending time with you, and it just such deep, rich topics that we could just go on and on for sure. But you have to buy your course so you can get more of it.
Thank you.
Obviously, like and subscribe here on my YouTube channel for the Divine Feminine Revolution podcast. So again, thank you so much for being an incredible woman in the world, just like lighting the way for other women. And I love seeing that. And thank you all for watching. Let me know what your favorite money takeaway was down below, and let's maybe get a list going for people. They're just so rich in this episode. So, and then hopefully, you know, not even hopefully, right? Like we're calling it in, the dollar signs.
We're calling it in.
For every woman who wants it.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Feminine Revolution podcast. Make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Want to keep the conversation flowing? Find us where revolutionary women gather to listen to their hearts, monetize their gifts, and change the world.